One more time. Let's get into it. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. It's Thursday, and I am the host of Nick Valencia Live. And this is our show. We're streaming. We're back. It's 2026, and there's a lot to talk about here, and a lot that went down last night in Minnesota. You know how much we have been covering the Trump's mass deportation policy, the impact that it's had on everyday Americans, the racial profiling, and of course, the fatal shooting of Renee Good. And late last night, if you guys were watching, things really went down. And it all started with yet another shooting by the feds. And there's two versions of events. People believe the feds, other people believe the victim in this case, a Venezuelan national who was shot in the leg. And here is what the feds say happened. The feds, DHS, released a statement, Tricia McLaughlin, Undersecretary of Public Affairs, and she said that DHS agents were following a Venezuelan man. He became aggressive. He started to assault them. At one point, two people came out from a nearby building, one with a snow shovel, another with a broomstick. They assaulted the agent. According to DHS, the agent feared for his life and opened fire, shooting the Venezuelan national in the leg. According to DHS, not only did the man shot in the leg, but also the agent, the federal agent, they were both taken to the hospital. And those two others, according to DHS, that assaulted the Fed, they are now in custody and being charged. That's what DHS is saying. Here is what the victims of this case say happened. That was late last night. About an hour later, though, this 911 call emerged on social media purporting to be of the wife of the victim, the Venezuelan national who was shot in the leg. They say something entirely different happened. They claim that the feds shot at the door after the man who was being chased by the feds ran into his home, closed the door, and then he was shot at. That's how he got hit in the leg. There was kids inside this home, by the way, guys. Let me play this 911 call. Take a look for yourself.
En la pierna. Por favor, ayúdenme, tenemos hijos.
Tenemos unos
Asómalo
niños
por la
pequeños
ventana.
aquí en la casa. Y si disparan.
Asómalo así, nada más por fuera. Los de LAI, son los de LAI.
Miguel, quítate de ahí. Quítate de ahí.
¿Qué personas le dispararon? ¿Quiénes le dispararon?
La
de la y venía persiguiendo a mi marido hace como media hora, lo estaban tratando de chocar y llegó a la casa y como le cerramos la puerta le dispararon.
They were following my husband and they hit his vehicle and we closed the door of them and they shot.
Marica, me da miedo.
So listen to that there. Their version of events was that the husband was being chased by immigration agents. He fled to his house and they fired through the door, striking him in the leg. That has caused all sorts of issues here on the streets of Minneapolis. We want to show you the video of what happened late last night in North Minneapolis, where I was watching live video. Status Quo was out there live, and one of their reporters was injured, hit in the head by a flashbang. Take a look at this.
Oh, I got hit in the head really bad.
As a reporter from Status Quo, an independent site that was there on the ground in North Minneapolis, and he was hurt. They were confronted throughout the night, and eventually those demonstrators were able to overrun the federal agents, and they chased him basically out of North Minneapolis. Federal vehicles were left behind, and they were ransacked. Look, guys, I've been a reporter for a long time, and I remember back in 2015, the terrorist attack in San Bernardino. And I give this context only because, if you remember, the landlord allowed the media into the home of that terrorist. And there were reporters from NBC and other major outlets that picked up the ID and showed the cards, the personal information, privacy of the suspected terrorist at the time. They were criticized for violating ethics of journalists, basically showing the private information of somebody who had not yet been adjudicated. Some of these documents that were recovered from the cars, the federal vehicles that were left behind, we're making the decision unilaterally here at Nick Valencia News not to air those documents. You can go online, you can go see them for yourselves. They're naming federal agents. It's also some strategy. One of the things, though, that I wanted you guys to see, though, is what was found in there, which were challenge coins. And if you guys are familiar with law enforcement, you know these challenge coins exist. And they're basically like trophies. Law enforcement trades them with each other to celebrate accomplishments. A lot of them went around after 9/11, those first responders that were in the rubble, that work there, carrying people out of the Twin Towers debris. These challenge coins, though, that were found in the back of federal vehicles in North Minneapolis are downright demonic. They're chilling. And take a look for yourself of what people uncovered. We have a clip here we're trying to show you. Little trouble there. Here, let's try this one more time. For whatever reason, it's having some trouble loading. But when it does, or maybe if it does, we'll post it on our social media later. Having a little trouble loading that clip. But it's basically like a skull and bones with a crown on it. It looks so sinister, so demonic. And these are the types of things that are being traded as celebrations for what you're seeing out in the streets of America. The racial profiling, the Kavanaugh stops, the harassment of American citizens. And the people who support this say, hey, what's the hard feelings that you have here about being stopped and asked for your ID? Just cooperate. They're the feds and keep moving. What the fuck, man? Why is this okay? Where are the don't tread on me folks? Where are the people that say that the government is overreaching, that we all should have a right to be able to walk freely as we see fit out in the public there without fear of being stopped by the feds? This is something that we talked about with our next guest, who we did a pre-recorded interview with, Senator Alex Padilla. And you guys might remember him because it was last summer in June that he was assaulted during a press conference for Kristi Noem. And he talked to me about just how far we've come, how much this situation has deteriorated. And I mean far, not in a good way. These things are really starting to, cause problems is too much of a euphemism. I mean, people are literally fearing for their lives and being killed in the streets like Renee Good. We have gotten to this fever pitch here. And the president now is saying that he's going to invoke the Insurrectionist Act. Who knows what he's going to do? We talked all about this with our guest, Senator Alex Padilla, and here is our 20-minute conversation. And we're joined now by Senator Alex Padilla. You're the first senator to join our broadcast. I'm so excited about that. Thank you so much.
Another first for my career. I like it.
You're just a kid from Pacoima, right? I'm just a kid from Eagle Rock. Here we are, kid from the valley.
I'm trying to do good. That's it.
Hey, I want to start with the news of the day here. Some serious stuff. President Trump is threatening to invoke the Insurrectionist Act in Minneapolis because of what we see there. I just got off the phone with a Trump supporter who blames the governor, Tim Walz, there for inciting violence. I'd love for you to get your reaction here.
Yeah, look at that's the MO for this administration, right? To make up lies, or point to anything they can, grasping at straws as a pretext to escalate tension and escalate violence. We saw it starting in California, going back almost a year ago now. Los Angeles was the test case, and the way they not just surged ICE and Border Patrol resources, but they were redirecting federal resources from other agencies and other departments under their mass deportation agenda. Yeah. We've challenged it every step of the way, and we knew that Los Angeles was just the first. It was the playbook that they were going to replicate in cities across the country for any issue to quell dissent. And so since then, what's happened? We've seen troops in Washington, D.C., in Chicago, in Portland, in North Carolina, in New Orleans. And I think Minneapolis is just the latest chapter, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it seemed to be a foreshadowing what was going to happen to Americans out there, what happened to you in June of 2025. So many of us remember it. It was a moment that seemed to foreshadow the moment that we're in now. And I want to play this.
Sir, hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your
On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go, I put them behind my back. All right, cool.
One hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
There was absolutely no respect for you as a senator. There's still some people out there who call it a political stunt. The vice president called you Jose intentionally after that. How do you feel about looking at that now?
Yeah, look, it still makes my blood boil. As I've said so many times since that moment, since that incident, if that's how they treat a senator with a question, right? This was the Secretary of Homeland Security at a press conference. This is what press conferences are for questions and, more importantly, answers. But if that's what they treat a senator when the cameras are on, imagine what they're doing in all corners of the country when there are no cameras to hold agents accountable. The treatment that not just immigrants, we've seen the data come out from the Department of Homeland Security itself. Documented legal immigrants have been rounded up, many without due process. United States citizens have been detained for days and days without an ability to communicate to lawyers or family members. Even veterans have been victims of this indiscriminate, shoot first, ask questions later. And we've seen that play out in Minneapolis recently. Mass deportation fixation by this administration. They're out of control. They're violating the law and the Constitution on a daily basis, and we need to rein them in. So our work continues. And look, yes, it's for members of the Senate and Congress to speak up, but every American who cares about the Constitution needs to stand up, needs to speak out, needs to take action and mobilize.
What do you say to those, Senator, who say that the Democrats didn't do enough to protect our community or insulate our community from the actions that we're seeing right now?
Yeah, look, I think again, my point is it takes all of us, right? Members of Congress need to continue to stand up, both here in the United States Capitol, but also organizing in our communities. We've seen Democratic attorney generals, for example, go to the courts and litigate, and it's not reported enough that we're actually defeating the Trump administration in court much more often than not.
U.S. district court judges are saving America. They're like the Avengers out there right now.
Right. But the ultimate check, the ultimate guardrails that we can put back in place is going to be at the ballot box. We're now, only months away from the midterm elections this November. If we can flip the Senate, flip the House back to Democratic majorities, that would go a long way. And not only do I feel good about our chances given the success of this last November's election, right? The governor's races in New Jersey, Virginia, Supreme Court races in Pennsylvania, new mayor in New York, Prop 50 in California. We have the momentum, but the stakes are so high. We have to stay focused. We have to keep, fighting the fight on all fronts, legislatively, legally, and especially at the ballot box.
People were really excited here in Georgia because in the first statewide election with the public service commissioner, it was an indication of where things might go. You saw things in Tennessee in the 7th congressional district there, narrowly, out of reach for a Democrat, which is unheard of. Do you think that those that fear that we won't have midterms have any merit? Is that something in the back of your mind? I mean, there's people out there that are speculating, look, they're getting us used to having troops on the street because they intend not to have midterms. Or if there is midterms, there's going to be these troops on the street to intimidate people from coming out. And that's a different type of voter suppression.
Right. No, there's that old saying, right? You hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst.
Sure.
And everything that seems like, oh, that's too crazy coming out of Donald Trump's mouth, we got to take it serious. We got to prepare for any scenario. I remember being with the governor and a lot of the leadership in California when we launched the Prop 50 measure. Donald Trump deployed ICE and Border Patrol to the press conference when we were rolling out that announcement, the measure itself and the beginning of the campaign. So he's going to use every trick in the book he can to try to intimidate, to try to influence and get election results that he wants. I mean, to this day, he's still denying the true results of the 2020 election. So he doesn't like losing. He makes up lies and peddles in conspiracy theories. We can't fall for it.
I call him the WWE president. It's like everything is through this perspective of WrestleMania. He can control the optics of a crowd. And it's like he's playing the part of a president. And you look at his cabinet, they all look the part, but what comes out of their mouth is just absurd sometimes. I want to ask you about accountability here because there are people in my circles that fear that these ICE agents are never going to be held accountable. We see California State Senator Scott Wiener with the anti-mask law that he passed, and you still see federal agents on the streets of California defying that law. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and so I have the federal version of the bill that State Senator Wiener based his bill off of. Because even before what happened to me, and regardless of what happened to me at the Homeland Security press conference last year, I was hearing from constituents, I was hearing from friends and family to think that there's federal agents, not identifying themselves, nor the agency that they supposedly work for and represent, coming out of unmarked cars, what looked like kidnapping people.
Yeah.
That's wrong. And it's not within policy. It's not lawful. And so I have federal legislation to bring that about across the country. No mask. You have to be able to identify yourself. I have another bill that would allow people to bring about a civil right of action. When it comes to state law enforcement or local law enforcement, look, there's mechanisms in place to investigate shootings, for example. Was it in policy or out of policy? And, a way for victims to achieve justice if an officer is not playing by the rules.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that at the federal level. We need that at the federal level because in the past, we've relied on the Department of Justice to independently investigate and hold people accountable. We don't have that right now in a Trump administration. So we need other mechanisms to help victims pursue and receive justice. So there's a lot of tools here, a lot happening simultaneously.
I'll tell you what we do have with the Trump administration: racial profiling, Kavanaugh stops. We see it happen with Somali Americans now in the street. I just saw a video. We saw it all summer long in Los Angeles. I see it in Eagle Rock, where I'm from. I mean, just as a Latino man in this country, you are around your peers who are supportive of this, and you have to walk in the same halls and see these videos and field calls from family members. I mean, it gets to me. It's got to get to you as well.
It does. And, if anything, it just fuels my passion for doing this job and not shying away from uncomfortable conversations, but leaning into them because it's true. I mean, you look at what members of the Supreme Court have said. It's okay for ICE to stop people just based on their appearance.
It's just going to be an inconvenience to be in custody for 25 days, Senator, right?
Or their accents or their occupation. That's racial profiling. You don't enforce the law by breaking the law. Racial profiling is wrong and needs to end. And again, if it happens to a United States senator, they're next potentially. And so this should be a wake-up call.
Where are the "don't tread on me" folks? Where are the people who are saying this is government overreach? In any other country, the headline would be "Secret police target ethnic minorities." Right. I just don't understand it.
And among the many, many areas of hypocrisy, this is also a president and the Republican majority who seems fine going along with pardoning the January 6th insurrectionists who attacked law enforcement, pardoning those who were convicted of these types of crimes. And now they're actually pursuing payments from the federal government for not just their legal bills, but payments. They are out of control, constantly overreaching. They need to be reined back in. And that includes Republicans in Congress because they took an oath of office and they have to be reminded, are you more loyal to Donald Trump or more loyal to your constituents and the Constitution? They have a job here to do. We have to hold them accountable as well.
Do you believe some of the January 6ers found their way into the rank and file of customs of immigration?
Look, that's quite possible. We don't know. We know that the Department of Homeland Security has been on a hiring spree. Yeah. And what I've seen in the past, because my career started in local government, and then I went out to state government and then federal. When any organization, but especially law enforcement, grows too much too quickly, you increase the risk of stuff falling through the cracks. Somebody who should have had a background or should have been vetted, or even at the training element too, right? When there's such haste to just get more officers on the street without being fully and properly trained, there's a danger of things going wrong. I'm not suggesting that's how these shootings are happening, but it's quite possible.
Sure.
We need to be more responsible about how we're doing this.
Before I let you go, you've been so gracious with your time. We hear all the time the criticism. I'm sure you hear it. You're on Capitol. You're in the nation's capital. We got this clip here from a former congressional staffer with floor privileges who says that we should be holding Democrats accountable more, that there's more that you guys could be doing. I want to play this clip to you, for you, and I want you to react on the other side here.
Favorite one. Can object and force full procedure on everything. And here's what it looks like in practice.
Rewind here. There we go.
The Senate runs on that thing, unanimous consent, without objection. Nemine contradicente. It's how the chamber skips procedures that take up time. One senator, any senator, Bernie Sanders, Murphy, Blumenthal, Booker, pick your favorite one, can object and force full procedure on everything. And here's what it looks like in practice. Dozens of small administrative tasks happen by UC every single day. Force votes or full procedure on each one of them, and the whole calendar explodes. It's uncomfortable. These tactics make everyone's life harder. They keep senators on the floor. They cancel weekends. They delay the flight home. They make colleagues cranky. Nobody gets to the Capitol Grill on time. The institution becomes genuinely unpleasant.
Is that an effective way to approach this? Is there any merit in that argument? Do you think you guys have done enough?
Look, I think it's definitely one of the tools at our disposal that we have exercised from time to time, actually more regularly in this Congress than in the past. It's why Republicans, because they're in the majority, single-handedly sort of changed the rules because we were holding up all the nominations of the Trump administration, forcing that procedure, forcing all that time because there's bad people going into the administration. We've taken to the floor for multiple filibusters. You've seen more recently, it was Senator Jeff Merkley from the state of Oregon. Of course, the record time is now held by Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey, more than 25 hours. But the wheels of Congress is just one of many tools. We talked earlier about fighting this in the courts, and the most important part, which is organizing, and taking it to the ballot box.
Thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything that you would like me to ask you or anything that you want to talk about that's important to know? Now's your chance, Senator.
Look, the November elections are going to be here before we know. Even before that is our primary elections. So if you're as outraged as I am with what's going on, make sure if you're eligible that you're registered to vote and have a plan to cast your ballot and get every friend, every family member, every coworker, every neighbor to do the same.
Selfishly, my dad died when I was 17 and I live in the South. I go back and forth from here to LA. This is just more of a personal thing. I wish I had a strong Latino male role model in my life. And so I guess I would just love to ask you for advice, some guidance here. 42 years old, just launched this program here. I'm out here in the South. We see what's going on in the world around us. What do you have to say to, your community, to people like me?
Well, keep standing up, right? You have this vision of how you can contribute to a better discourse and a better future for not just yourself, not just your family, not just your community, but for our country. And so more power to you. Let's do this again, but in person next time. Come visit. Welcome you to the office, and we'll do it again in Los Angeles. Look, we all have a role to play. This country is growing in population, more and more diverse every single day. You see the success of California, most populous and diverse state in the nation, fourth largest economy in the world. Our growth, our diversity is to be embraced and nurtured. That's how we succeed and continue to grow. It shouldn't be pitting us apart. We shouldn't be dividing us. That's just delaying and limiting us as a country. So we're better than that.
Senator Alex Padilla of California, thank you so much for taking the time with Nick Valencia Live. That was so cool. Our first senator here, Alex Padilla. Thank you again to the senator. We're joined now, and we pivot here to Los Angeles, and a longtime friend of mine, and someone who, look, we've been doing that 2016 challenge on the internet. I'm going to show you 2015, January 31st. We were out on the streets of LA. Go ahead and play that clip, Eric.
Where are we at? We're in the produce district. This is what I call the Mercado Olympic.
Like the Staples Center is right here.
Tourists are right over there.
And we're here.
But there are no tourists here. We're in Mexico.
Well, oh my God, look at that.
Yeah.
Now it's time for the dessert, right?
This guy right here makes the best churros in Los Angeles. And look at that.
That was one of my first viral clips, and we're joined now by Bill Esparza. Come on into the room here, Bill. How are you, man?
What happened to those guys?
Yeah, now I got my trauma streak, Yep. Yeah, you got a little bit more gray, and here we are. We're still eating tacos, though.
We still are.
Are there any places? I mean, I know it's such a stupid question. Are there any places left to eat tacos in LA? Like, what is really happening, though? What's been the impact of the service industry because of all these raids going on?
Well, definitely there's still places to eat tacos, right? But every vendor is feeling it. The numbers are down. Their sales are down. Yeah. Their customers aren't showing up. Their customers are gone. Customers are in hiding, and there's really an overall shrinkage of the entire economy of this region. Obviously, Los Angeles is still being hit every day heavily. along with many other places in the United States right now. And the targeted sort of pressure on Los Angeles, I mean, has been going on since this began in June. And so this is a long time now. And, you know, we've seen the Home Depots. I can just tell you in Hollywood, my local Home Depot, which I will not patronize ever again, is used to have a lot of jornaleros, the day workers, and they're still showing up, but it's always new ones because more and more keep getting taken. They had food vendors that would set up for the day workers, and they're all gone. There are no more food vendors there. So you see things like that happening everywhere. Everyone I talk to, they're down employees. I know one taqueria they're down to one guy, the owner, and so he can't afford to pay workers because no customers are coming. The customers are the people that, are out working at Home Depot, and they're out working at picking up day work, doing construction
it's a
work.
ripple effect. It's not just the people that are being targeted, the day workers and the day laborers. It's this ripple effect of this economy that in places like Los Angeles really is what's great about the city, and when I look at what's happening on the streets, it's almost like they're trying to remove the brown from America and whitewash it. Talk to us just about how important the food scene is to Los Angeles, the street vendors are, and how these raids are really changing the face of LA.
Well, yeah, I mean, Los Angeles is being targeted because it's the largest Latino city, largest Mexican city, largest Central American, the largest indigenous community in the United States, with all these indigenous workers coming. A lot of people don't talk about this a lot, but when we're going back to Home Depot, there's a lot of Maya that show up. The day workers are Maya indigenous people, and there's people in the indigenous community again that are still in shelter in place years after the pandemic. They're at home hiding, but this culture, is being targeted because it's the strongest Latino culture in the United States. It's the biggest one. It's the most diverse. It has, I mean, obviously the largest Mexican community, the largest Salvadoran community, Guatemalan community, and plus it's so many Hondureños, Zapotecos, Mixtecos, Maya from
When Trump
Guatemala.
says, some people arrive here speaking languages he's never even heard of. He's talking about that. That's the shade that he's throwing towards indigenous Americans, like the ones you mentioned. That persecution is happening not just in LA, it's happening across all the United States, from Charlotte to Minnesota, New Orleans. Do you move differently now in LA? I mean, we can never walk into a room and be white, Bill.
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously I'm a US born Mexican American. And so I don't have the same, I'm not by any means in the same boat as someone who's indigenous, someone who's undocumented, someone who's very dark. I'm light skinned. So I speak English with a California accent. Spanish is a second language to me. And so there are certain ways, and also I'm very aware of, the legal system and how to talk to border enforcement. I've had run-ins over the years crossing the border.
Fuck this. Why should we have to be worrying or think about how we're going to talk to the feds? It's why are you stopping me for my papers? Fuck you. Who are you to ask me? I'm walking freely out here. That's what gets me. It's like, yes, we could do all this stuff. And, oh, yes, 10 and 2. I got the talk when I was a kid about yes, sir, no, sir. Don't even look at LAPD. They're going to be on either side of you. I don't want to go through that again on an even grander level where they're actually questioning whether or not I was born here.
Right. Well, the crazy thing about it is that we've seen all this. Everybody knows, right? And there is a pushback, right? There is people are we've seen the biggest protests in the history of the United States against this. We've seen people come out of all colors, come out and fight ICE, right? People, we have neighborhood patrols, but we're doing all this stuff, and yet it continues, and even, here you have Joe Rogan finally waking up, right? Saying that, oh, it's, that's the America we live in. Show me your papers. But I can't believe that we're here. I can't believe that we're in that. And I have been held at the border crossing from Tecate. I was stopped. And for the first time in my life, I did have to show my passport to the CBP.
This happened
And
recently in Trump's under Trump's mass deportation.
this was
policy.
after the June, the when the raids began,
The siege,
and he asked me for my tourist map, which was a wine country map of Valle de Guadalupe. He saw La Ruta, and of course these guys are stupid. They're uneducated. They're untrained. Now we know that they're former insurrectionists. They're racists. Proud Boys. And so this idiot sees my map and says, thinks it's a smuggling map. Like I'm a stupid smuggler that would have a smuggler's map on my.
Here's my treasure. Follow me here.
Yeah, here's how we do it, right? And I put it in his face, and I was just like, this is a tourist map, my friend. It's the one tourist map they have everywhere. They even cities that suck have a tourist map. And they all look the same. And so that was my small, but again, my friends, my neighbors, people that I write about are being hunted. And it's like gazelles trying to cross a crocodile infested, river. And every day, I mean, they're circling.
Let me show you something here really quick. We tried to show this earlier. I want to try to see if it plays from here. It's not playing, dang it. For whatever reason, it's not playing, but these are the challenge coins. You're talking about people being hunted. It's like these, I'm going to post it on my Instagram later, but it's like these demonic challenge coins of like skulls, and they're getting off on this. And I know you mentioned, the January 6th Proud Boys, that hasn't been officially, said by the federal government, but they're
fuck that. They're there. They're there.
It strains common sense to think that they're not. Because where are the counter demonstrations to this stuff going on? There's no need for them because they're dressed in official, they've got the uniforms. They're part of the government now,
And they've got the go ahead with, 100% immunity from Stephen Miller. We're living in Stephen Miller's wet dream, of hurting.
About that, because about Stephen Miller being from LA, Santa Monica High School. Tell us why you're not, so surprised about, his take on things here. We've been around those people all our life, Bill.
Well, right. We have been. And, Stephen Miller was a smaller figure in the first administration because any of his crazy ideas, there were people in the room to say, no, we can't do that. There were putting limits on him. But it seems to me that he's in charge of all of this, that he's the real president. He's doing what he wants. He's giving these untrained, racist ICE agents, the cover they need to hurt people and to have their fun. Kristi Noem is sort of like the robotic version of that policy, just like, and the line, I would be so impressed if they just said, here's what we're doing. And we don't give a fuck, just tell us, we can see it. Why do we have to go through these exercises? And of course, from that journalism world, your years at CNN, that you have to sit there and you have to listen to these people. And then you have to try to ask a follow-up question when somebody's just lying to your face and not able to reveal what's obvious.
And when you say that, I think about Kristi Noem going on the old place, and saying, well, I don't know if that was Jonathan Ross saying fucking bitch afterwards. And then I posted a video on my social media where you see not only Jonathan Ross say that, but he appears to deliberately lift the phone and speak into it and say fucking bitch. And then he releases it on an alt-right channel that's defending the shooting. All of this is a propaganda war. All of this is optics. That's what we're up against. They are changing the rules. And so we got to play by the rules that they are putting into the game here, because it's all part of the game.
Well, the truly scary part and the sad part is that they're doing this in the light of not releasing the Epstein files, in the light of horrible policies, no fiscal policy, taking away people's health care, and moving all this money into their pockets and into ICE, and which also ends up in their pockets, and that's a whole other discussion. But they're doing it because that they're clinging to a 36%, 39% support right now base of support that still wants to see, a Mexican, a pregnant, Guatemalan indigenous woman being dragged by her hair and kicked, and beaten after she's already cuffed. So there's still an appeal in America for this horror, and that's sickening that that we can't 100%. I know what I think recent poll said 57% of Americans don't like the enforcement or
Yeah.
don't agree with it. And that's still, we should be 100% against. Look, would I like to see Proud Boys and racists and being dragged and kicked to the streets? Yes, probably I would enjoy that, but I understand we can't do that. I'd like to see these people, it turned on them, but we can't do that. I would not support that because I understand that could also be turned on myself and the fact that we can't, as all Americans, understand we don't live in a country where our economy is being attacked, our people are being brutalized and murdered, kidnapped without due process, not able to speak to lawyers. This is not any kind of country that resembles America. This is the countries that you and I grew up reading about and studying about, like the bad countries that do this, that abduct people, that disappear them.
And people are going to support this stuff regardless. You're never going to get 100%,
Right.
against it. And even those that maybe voted for Trump and are against it, they're still going to go back into the ballot box and choose an R when they vote, even though they don't like what they see.
Right.
Honestly, which is why, first and foremost, this isn't a mandate. So many people sat out. This show started with the intention of reaching Trump voters and, Biden voters. And I have a lot of Trump voters in my life. I love you guys. I know some of you guys are watching right now. You're not going to not vote for Trump if he's out there. It's just what it is. You're not going to not vote for a Republican, no matter what you tell me. I know that's what it is, which is why I'm going after the politically disenfranchised and trying to educate and empower and going after the youth, man, because they seem to brag right now. They seem to brag right now that they have control of the youth. And we remind people that non-voters make up the biggest voting bloc. This is no mandate here. People were just so disgusted with what they had because you had the Democrats telling you not to believe your eyes, that Joe Biden was basically failing his health in front of us. Then you put Kamala. I mean, I don't want to relitigate or rehash all this stuff. There, people, and then the Genocide Joe thing happened, right? Look, Bill, I know we're getting away, and we've got another guest here. You had a hard out at 3:35. Thank you for the extra time. I'm going off on a tangent anyway. How do we follow you? How do we keep up with you? Now's your chance. Go for it.
Okay. Well, listen to the Taqueando podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. Taqueando with Bill Esparza, and you can find me at Street Gourmet LA on Instagram, TikTok, and any other social media, and we'll talk again, and let's get some tacos.
I can't wait, man. I'll be back in LA very soon. James Beard award-winning food blogger, writer, taco whisperer, writer. This man is a writer. This is not a blog. No, dude, he's one of the best. Go check out Bill Esparza. I'll see you back in LA, homie. God bless you, dog.
Okay.
Hey, man, that was Bill Esparza. I love that piece going back into the past there, 2015, January 31st, being on the streets of LA. Eric and I was talking about this, Eric Sandoval, my executive producer, and that the streets of Olympic, East LA, they don't look like that anymore. Can you just throw up that video again really quick? We don't have to play the sound, but I just walking through Olympic, seeing how vibrant it was, that's not how it is now. People are scared to go outside. People are terrified to show their faces. We might not be able to. Oh, there it is. Well, anyway, it's all good. That's young Nick right there. Let's bring in Raul Obioha to the stage here. We've got a big audience out of Texas, out of Houston specifically, and Raul is a Texas-based immigration attorney. I hear you loud and clear, Raul.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear
ready
me?
to go?
I
Yeah,
cannot
can
hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. I don't know what happened.
Okay. Are we all good now? You can hear me now, though, right?
Hold on.
No. Do you
I'm
want to
gonna
drop
try.
off back in?
I
Maybe
was
drop
hearing
off.
you and then not. But hold on, let me try.
Okay. How about now?
Oh my god. I don't know what happened. Can you
All right,
hear
Raul,
me?
how about this? Why don't you drop off? We'll remove you from the stage. You drop off and then log back in, and then maybe we'll be able to see you like that. Yeah, gosh, man. I was just going back to Bill Esparza and being back there on Olympic, to think about the impact that these raids have had on just everyday Americans, people that are so used to going out. Part of the beauty of Los Angeles is the street vendors, the scene, right there being on Olympic. You don't even feel like I don't know. It's just the culture. It's so vibrant and wonderful. Hey guys, if you have any questions coming up, the next guest here is an immigration attorney, and we wanted to try to give you guys some more exposure to counsel, to people who have experience in this field, that are seeing things that may not be normal for them. Let's bring back Raul. She's just joined the show again. Raul Obioha. We all good now?
Hi, yes,
There
I
we
think
go. We got you.
so.
How are you? Thank you
I'm
so much
good.
for
How
joining
are
us.
you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you are an immigration attorney, and I just want to get right into it. What's the big differences that you're seeing right now under Trump's second presidency?
Oh my goodness, do not get me started. There's so many differences, right? There are just like a lot of like stops, right? It's like road bumps. The applications are slower. They're people into proceedings, they're arresting people, they're harassing people in the parking lot. It's where do I start? Like, where do you want me to start? It's so different. It's like night and day.
The clients that are coming in right now, have they changed at all? Like, are you hearing any different stories or the types of clients that you're getting now?
Definitely. I mean, first of all, a lot of clients are afraid, right? People who like maybe they've been trafficked or maybe they've been abused and then they want to apply for relief. They're scared to do it because if it doesn't work for any reason, then they get arrested. Or if you basically apply for anything, you're basically saying, "Hey, I'm here." And they have a right to come and pick you up even while application is pending. Before Trump, when you have a benefit that is pending, we rarely saw NTAs being issued. We rarely saw ICE arrest because you had a petition that was pending with USCIS. Now we're seeing them getting picked up, getting NTAs even with applications pending. They don't care.
People
There's
with
just
green card interviews, spousal green card interviews are being taken, like Barbara and Tucker May. I did that story several months ago. It went
yes,
viral. Are you hearing
yes.
of other things like this that just seems to be so against the law and at the very least out of policy?
First of all, it's just ridiculous how much there's no rhyme or reason to what they're doing, right? You have a client, you have a petition that's just pending at USCIS to say, okay, you know what, hold on, we have an interview coming up, and then before you know it, they're calling you from the detention center. Sometimes that takes like days after detention for you to even hear from your client, or from those who are pending, a relief. Maybe there was a mistake by USCIS, and then we refiled, and those are getting thrown into proceedings immediately. And before, we used to get dates like 6 months out, and then when you go in front of the judge, they were able to continue it to allow USCIS to process the petition. Now we're seeing them, the court judges saying, we don't care what's pending. We're going to deport you unless you have a defensive application to put in right now.
I know in the past, it almost seemed like, hey, I don't want to catch the Fed's attention. But those who I've seen have success at getting out of ICE custody have gone about it in a sort of multifaceted way. Some have, got their message to activists who amplify it. Others have come to people like me, independent journalists, other media outlets. They've stayed consistent. And then the third part of this is that the individual needs to be resilient and be prepared to stay in custody for up to maybe 2-3 months, maybe even longer. What advice are you giving to people now that we're in this new era?
You need to tell your lawyers, if you're being detained, tell your lawyers, go to the habeas. Because the habeas petition, the habeas corpus petition is a petition basically asking the federal court to grant bond, especially if you've been denied from a lower, from the immigration court. And bonds are like now, like maybe 1% chance of approval from the local immigration courts, even
What
though
was it
you're able to.
before? I mean, I can't imagine it was very high before.
No, as long as you can prove that you're not a flight risk and you didn't have like a mandatory detention, like, maybe you had a criminal past or things like that, that you are subject to mandatory detention. But now that they don't care, they
By
deny
their
you.
own statistics, there's not that many violent criminals in custody. Majority of them are hardworking people who belong here. This is their home.
They don't care. They don't care. They're picking them up from their jobs, picking them up from the street, picking them up from the parking lot, and they're denying bond. So I would advise every immigrant right now, if you're picked up, you need to have a lawyer on standby who's willing and ready and able to file a habeas petition in federal court.
Yeah, and that literally means produce the body, and we want a hearing, but even still, that might not be effective.
Yes.
Immigration is sort of clearly, to me, one of the beautiful parts of this country. I was explaining to my daughter, the Statue of Liberty, what's written on it, just how we sort of say, hey, like, you could be anything in America. Families are constantly rising and falling in America. Thank you, Congressman. As an immigration attorney, seeing where we're at in this country and to know that immigration is a bad word, even legal immigration to some, how do you react to that?
There's this thing that, a lot of people say, okay, why don't you immigrate the right way? What is the right way? And then you're asking the government if they're processing cases the right way. Are you asking them if they're actually following their laws and implementing the laws the way that they wrote it, the way that Congress passed it? That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. So what I'm seeing now is, I'm telling my clients, we just need to follow this. We've been through this before, we survived. And as you said, this country is a country that's built on immigrants.
Yeah.
If you go in any major corporation, immigrants are the brains, and maybe that's why they're so trained.
God, and even if you do it the right way, Raul, they're taking away your TPS. They're taking away the protections that they gave you before, and then they're taking over countries and saying 600,000 of you are now safe to return to Venezuela. It's like
exactly.
They're trying to erase the brown here because they think it's a stain on the country.
Did you see the list that was released yesterday for the 75 countries that they are suspending immigrant visas from processing? And I have clients who have interviews in this countries coming up. So what do? And guess how the Department of State actually announced it? On X. On X. There's no formal memo from USCIS. There's no formal memo from the White House. It's like they're throwing bombs and they're saying, okay, it's a public. These are the immigrants at 75 countries where the immigrants are coming from that are public charge liabilities.
I mean, it's hard with those kinds of examples to not make the point and argue. The point is chaos. The point is confusion, to make you as uncomfortable as possible so you give up and say, I don't want to hear anymore. I want to leave. And then they win.
And then they win. Just look at the progress, right? We had December 16th, the extended travel ban. And then January 1st, there was the hold announcement. And then just yesterday, there's another announcement of 75 countries. So it's like every 2 weeks or something, or every day, we're getting something new to tell the immigrants, don't do anything. Just go home. We don't want you here.
Meanwhile, have we heard about anything going on in Venezuela other than the president saying that he's the acting president there and the authority? We don't know what's going on there at all. We have no idea what's happening there because everyone is focused now on the next shiny object, right?
Exactly.
They're so good at being like, oh no, which is why I think independent media is so important, Raul, because now it's like, all right, well, let me go check in on Venezuela. I don't have to be in these margins anymore.
Exactly.
You're so gracious with your time. As we wrap up here, is there anything I haven't asked you that you think is important to know? Anything that you would have wanted me to ask you or speak on? Now's your chance.
I just want to tell any immigrant out there, right? Do not be deterred. Do not give up, right? You need to get a proper immigration attorney, a very well experienced immigration attorney on your side, and don't stop applying. If you are qualified for a benefit, there's nothing wrong with applying, but talk to a lawyer first. You can have your strategy down and make sure that you're covered in the case that you're picked up, in the case that anything happens. But they're trying to instill fear. Right? We're not going to be afraid. We're not afraid to move forward. We're not afraid to fight for our clients. We're not afraid to advocate for what's right and what's legal and what's lawful. So my advice to you is don't be afraid. Talk to an immigrant attorney who is experienced and who can help you gear up for what's coming next. Do not be naked, but do not live in fear.
I was raised in my household to use my privilege to stand up to the powerful who are picking on those who aren't. And that's what I'm doing today. And I know that's exactly what you're doing, Raul. Raul Obioha and I met each other probably 7 years ago now in Houston during the Muslim ban, if you remember that, where a lot of African nations were impacted. She has been doing phenomenal work there on the ground in Houston. And I was so desperate to bring you on here because we have such a huge audience in Houston. It's like one of our top 5 cities. So thank you so much for holding it down for our Texas viewers. I really appreciate that, Raul.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
See you next time. All right,
See you next time.
Raul Obioha, immigration attorney based in Texas. Oh, man. Things are developing. Just a short time ago, Eric got in my ear and let me know that there's currently, as of about 30 minutes ago, a raid happening in the fashion district. Those are a little bit more common of what we used to see back in the 80s and 90s. Eric made the joke, or not the joke, but the observation that, I grew up in the 90s with raids in the fashion district. It's these incidents, though, that are happening that are so different, that are like intimidation, that are like ICE agents deciding that they want to use a Mexican restaurant to go to the bathroom. Like this clip we want to show you here. If we have it, Eric, if you could play this here. This happened a couple days ago.
What the fuck?
Where federal immigration officers made the choice out of everywhere to go to a Mexican restaurant to go to the bathroom.
D. This is like, wow.
Like, what's up? Where's your warrant? They asked you to leave. They asked you to
Take off your mask! Take off your mask!
Fucking fat bitch. Fuck out of here, you fat little bitch. Coward motherfucker.
Un-American pieces of shit.
Fucking cowards.
Fucking Nazi piece of shit.
Fucking cowards. Fuck out of here.
That wasn't a mistake. Them going into a Mexican restaurant, taking their time to leave. They knew what they were doing. When I look at that video, I think to myself how on brand it is for the feds. Kristi Noem loves to go to Mexican restaurants. Caroline Leavitt, loves to go to Mexican restaurants. They're telling us our position here as brown people in America, as Mexicans, is in the kitchen. We're the service workers. We're the people that wear the working boots and are out there flipping your tortillas without tongs, right? Serving your margaritas, taking care of your kids, doing all the things that you don't really want to pay somebody for. That's our place. That's what people think our place is. I try not to look at the comments. I try not to look at what people are telling me, but I know what we really are here. We are the backbone of this country. We are the customers that are going to those restaurants. We are the owners of those restaurants. We're senators of the United States. We are independent journalists who are the leaders of new media. We're filmmakers. We're creatives. We are America. And for those of you who are commenting on my Facebook that Mexicans are too stupid to know any better, or what's wrong with just being polite when someone asks you for your papers, you think the government's going to stop at the undocumented? Do you think that they're going to stop and say, oh, you have DACA, you have light skin, we're not going to mess with you. Oh, you have TPS, we're not going to mess with you. No, man, because they see you as a dollar sign. This is all about money. It's all about the private prison infrastructure and making money off of you, so that even if you are inconvenienced and spend 25 days in an ICE facility like Dulce Consuelo Morales Diaz, American born, they can still make $1 off of you. Someone at the end of the day is getting money. Follow the money. And for now, we also have to be resilient, man. This is a moment in time. This is not new. We're human beings. There's nothing new under the sun. There was someone like Trump long ago, I'm sure. We just heard about him ad nauseum since we were kids. And the people that really probably can hold him accountable are right there in the rooms with him. So there's no way that he's being held accountable because they were right there shoulder to shoulder with him, I'm sure. And we've made it through. People have made it through dark times in history. And we're making it through here. And for those of you who have trouble seeing hope and thinking that they're doing this unbridled and challenging us and daring us to stand up to them, at least for me, I could only speak for myself. This is my weapon. This right here, this microphone, this platform, the millions of views you guys share, amplify, like, subscribe, comment. Even the fucking haters in here are asking me to be deported or saying I'm an idiot or whatever. Thank you guys, because you're creating engagement. I know that you wouldn't take your time to hate on me if I wasn't making an impact, if we weren't making a difference, if you weren't scared of me. Hurt people. And right now, the leader of fear in this country, Donald Trump, has convinced others who are terrified and scared that they should follow his lead. And so they are. I'm not scared. I used to stand up to bullies all the time when I was a kid, man. I got beat up a couple times, but never went down without a fight. And that's where I'm at right now, man. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for commenting, sharing, liking, subscribing. Thank you guys for being right here with me. God bless you guys. And I hope you guys are finding hope out there in this really hard time. Thanks for helping us make truth go viral. Always have trouble getting that out. Maybe I should change the tagline. And as always, guys, have a great day on purpose.